In 1999, Nintendo released one of their most famous games ever, Super Mario World. The game was incredibly well received for its polished gameplay and impressive graphics. Even to this day, the game is still loved and considered by many to be one of their best Mario games ever. But just 5 years later, Nintendo would release another game. A prequel. That game was Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. As far as sequels go, Yoshi's Island is very, very different to Super Mario World. The game is overflowing with visual style and fun, accessible gameplay that still has depth and challenge. But the biggest difference by far was in the sound design. So, with your permission, I'd like to compare the sound design of Super Mario World and its sequel, Yoshi's Island. We're going to compare a few different core elements across the games, starting with the jump sound effect, damage sounds, and the level finish sound effect. In a platformer game, the player is going to hear this jump sound effect hundreds, even thousands of times. So it's incredibly important to have a sound that a player can hear 1,000 times and still love. Not only that, but the sound should reflect the on-screen action, making it satisfying to press the button and jump, solidifying the gameplay feedback from pressing the jump button. In the case of Super Mario World, there are 2 jumps to consider: the normal jump and the spin jump. Yoshi's Island only has 1 jump. But if you hold the button, you can float in the air momentarily, which has an accompanying sound. Take a listen to them both. Yoshi's jump sound is more cartoonish, creating a spring bounce every time the player jumps, which resonates really well with the art style of the game, leaning into the overall tone. Not only that, but the floating in the air reflects the desperation of Yoshi kicking his legs so fast to stay in the air a little longer, almost like the blades of a helicopter. Mario's jump sound reflects the upward momentum of his jump, the rising sound really embodying the jump itself. And it's also such an iconic sound. Simple, short, but very effective. Both of these sounds are quite abstract. Jumping in the air doesn't make a sound in real life, but in a video game, you want to clearly communicate the action of the jump while staying true to the aesthetic of the game, which both of these sounds successfully do. Little fun fact for you before we move on to the next sound effect. The voice actor for Yoshi in modern Mario games is Kaozumi Totika, a composer who wrote quite a bit of music for the Animal Crossing franchise. I have a separate video about one of his songs if you're interested in learning about his work. But in the first Yoshi's Island game, he was not yet cast for the voice of Yoshi. However, in the Game Boy Advance port of the game, he was retroactively added in as the voice actor for Yoshi. Next up are the damage sounds. When Mario is hit in Super Mario World, there's this classic de-evolution sound of Mario powering down. The sound is iconic and clearly communicates to the player what is happening. Whereas in Yoshi's Island, when Yoshi gets damaged, Mario will slip off his back and begin floating away to danger. Mario immediately starts crying out in fear, a piercing scream immediately causing the player to want to rush and grab him from danger. This is an interesting one, as I found that during my research, many people found the baby Mario crying sound to be quite ear-piercing and irritating, wishing it wasn't in the game. So much so, in fact, that a fan mod of the game was made called Yoshi's Island Pacifier Edition, which serves only one purpose: removing the crying from the game. But to be honest, I think it's pretty clearly designed that way on purpose. Taking damage and losing baby Mario can mean a game over in as little as 10 seconds. So it's incredibly urgent to grab Mario as quickly as the player can. With this in mind, it suits the urgency quite well to have such a dramatic sound, and one that you would want to deliberately stop by rescuing Mario. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to like the design decision just because Nintendo deliberately made it, but I can understand it. In the case of Super Mario World, the damaged sound very clearly communicates to the player that Mario has taken a hit that has powered him down, causing him to be weaker. The sound team at Nintendo did a knockout job with designing this. It's simple, but clear, which is what a good sound effect should do. Before we move on to the last sound, I just wanted to quickly point out that the piranha plant in Yoshi's Island have really gross teeth. Have you seen the chompers on these guys? They make a really nice sound too, a really disgusting gnashing of teeth. Okay, finally. How does the sound of finishing a level actually sound? This is a sound effect that some people may overlook, but it's incredibly important to consider. Getting to the end of a level is an important goal, and the player should have a sense of relief wash over them. Not just from finishing the level, but from hearing a congratulatory tune. In Super Mario World, there's a cheer that sounds out from breaking through the goalposts, and Yoshi's Island has a similar celebration for jumping through the flower circle at the end of the level, and passing Baby Mario on to the next Yoshi. Take a listen to the end of a Mario level first. There's a lot to break down here, but let's get into it. As you break through the tape connecting the goalposts, a celebratory ring sounds out, a triumphant victory melody begins, and a drum roll plays as your score is totaled. The melody ends with a final note as Mario strikes a victory pose, and the screen fades to black around Mario, a closing sound matching the fade. This is really great. The sound helps to boost that triumphant feeling of getting to the end of the level, giving a sense of closure to the overall experience, and acting as a break from the tension of surviving a tough level. Moving on to Yoshi's Island. Have a listen. Now, Yoshi's Island does have a far simpler ending sound, with the victory theme we hear and the sound of the flower circle spinning around being some of the only sounds present. But the sound does achieve a different impact to Super Mario World. It's still a satisfying tune at the end of the level, conveying the relief of getting to the end, but I think the strength of this ending music is when it picks back up after the flower circle stops spinning. The music here is upbeat, engaging, almost like a celebration, a party to be had on finishing the level. But more than that, it has a sense of the adventure continues. The Yoshi we just played as has finished their leg of the journey, but the quest is not over yet, and the next Yoshi will continue to carry Mario through these levels. So, to answer the question, which game did sound better? Super Mario World is far more iconic, with well-designed sounds that clearly establish what's happening on screen to the player. But I think personally I prefer Yoshi's Island. This game is just absolutely packed with so much more charm and personality, every sound just full to the brim with their childlike, playful and whimsical aesthetic. My vote goes to Yoshi's Island. But what do you think? Do you personally prefer the sound of Super Mario World or Yoshi's Island? Leave a comment down below, and as always, thanks for watching.